courtyard. So next Sunday, we know that it's about to get really hot because it's Florida, and so that window of opportunity where nice weather happens, my goodness. So we're going to say a prayer that next Sunday, outside that courtyard, we'll work out, and so just heads up on that. Weather should be good, but kind of take an extra look at the weather before you come on Sunday. If it's colder or warmer, probably going to be warmer, and we'll do that. So that should be fun for next week in the courtyard. I'm going to have song sheets. It's going to be different. So excited to try something a little bit different for you guys for sure. So that's what's coming up for this series. I have something I want to grab to show you guys. I love this part. I'm going to straight up walk off stage because this is pretty epic here. Yes. He's walking off stage. All right. So I just want to make sure that you guys are not going to miss the point. That's what this guy is for. Don't want you to miss it. In fact, I think what I'm going to do, the youth pastor side of me wants to just throw this out there and kind of see what happens. I like that. That's good. You're testing me. I want to throw it out there. Actually, here's what I think I'm going to do. Is that if any of you start to get a little sleepy and your head starts to kind of go,
there you go.
I'm going to see it, and I'm just going to pop this out there. So just heads up on that. But that is there so that you don't miss the point. And does anybody know what we've been talking about? What is the point? What is it? I'd love to hear you. Someone tell me. What we've been talking about for a couple weeks. Don't miss the point. The point is to... Ooh, okay, that's the word. Make disciples. That's huge. In fact, kind of what I wanted to do, it was in the seat when you sat down, there's this little blue card. We're really intentional about our next steps. And so on here, you'll kind of see specifically what your next steps would be. If you're kind of plugged in, you want to know what would be next for you, this is a great way to take a look at that. But for me right now, more specifically, the discipleship relationship. And so for the last 2 weeks, and then right now, we're kind of talking about, man, who are the people in your life that you need to be intentional about? And so what this is a tool. And so you can fill this out just if you have regular contact information or next steps that we can help you with wherever you might be. But specifically the disciple relationships. If you're in that place where you know there is someone in your life that you would consider that you're a disciple. If you would write that down and give that to me or Josh at the end of service, what we want to do is we want to pray for you about this, because this is the point. This is really, really important. And so if we can help you in any way possible, we want to do that. Or if you just need to write this down and fill out that person's name and just kind of put it on the fridge at home and remember, man, I've made a commitment to somebody, that'd be a great step for you too. But this is one way that you can kind of take that next step, specifically in discipleship, because as we've been talking about, we often miss the point and get distracted and get overwhelmed by all different kinds of things. And so sometimes we might be thinking about what we ought to be doing, or we're not sure where we should be in our Christian walk and what life is going to look like for us. And so we get overwhelmed with different things. And so today, just kind of wrapping up this series, lots of different things in your life are going to happen. All different kinds of things are going to take place. A lot of them will distract you from the point. And we don't want you to miss that. And I'm so excited for the text, because I think you're going to get to see how important it really is in life that you would invest in other people and that you would make relationships a priority. As much fun as meeting together in the school is, and the adventure that planning a church is, that if we're not intentionally invested in relationships, if we're not pouring our lives into other people, then we're missing it. Then we've kind of cut ourselves short from so much more that God might have in mind for us. And in fact, the last 2 weeks we've been talking about situations where the disciples and different people kind of thought they were doing the right thing, and Jesus is like, hey, listen, it's not that. You've missed the point. And so this happens for them, and of course that would happen. I wake up one moment and realize we've missed it. And it's not always going to be as big and as obnoxious as a big old beach ball on the stage. Sometimes the points that God has for you in your life can be easy for you to block your eyes from. And you might completely miss that it was there the whole time. And so we wanted to be very intentional, very deliberate and specific about, there's this big old eyesore, there's this big point we do not want you to miss. It's great that you come on Sunday. We're glad you come to our mission groups. We're glad that you give to the church and you give your time and your energy. But do not miss the point. People are so important. God made that clear to us, and we want to follow what he said. Jesus, as he left the earth, wanted to make sure we knew what to do with our time. And he said, Matthew 28:18-20, go make disciples. We're trying to figure that out, as you know. We're moving forward pretty well on this idea. And we realize that with the tools that we put together for you, a lot of them at the Next Step station there in the back, different ways we can do it. Just being in a relationship with people. Let's work out the kinks together. Specifically, too, we've talked about it a little bit, that we didn't launch this church with a big poster out on 50 and a big net to get everyone in Spring Hill to come see our church. That wasn't the strategy we wanted to do. Now, we could have, and in fact, I've thought about it since. But we believe that you guys, having relationships in your life as you go about your life, your ponds, if I will, your places of work, your neighborhoods, those people, they're the people that God has specifically put in front of you. And so as much fun as it would be to fill this place up with a bunch of strangers and see how many people stay, we would much rather equip and help everyone to be able to be intentional about the people in their life. Because I think that's the way God wanted us to do it in the first place. And I see that happening. I see you guys bringing your friends. I see you guys thinking about those people. And here's what I know. CCW, I saw this. Probably some of you as well, and even here now. I didn't go to CCW because of the worship or the preaching or the auditorium. And the same is true for Go Church. I came because of relationships. That's what made me stay. And in fact, that's what made me leave. It's the relationships I had. And there's one specifically that made me leave. So what that means is for you that if you want to see God's kingdom grow, then your relationships matter so much more maybe than you give credit for. As fun as this auditorium might be, as neat as some of the ideas we want to continue to develop as we grow as a new church, those are wonderful, but this is not an attraction. This isn't a show for people to be amazed and hopefully they come back because we did a good job. That's not how we're going to do this. We believe that the relationships you have with people is the most powerful thing that God gave us and created us to do. And so know that you have that built in you. So the people in your life, the one person maybe that you wrote down on that card or that you didn't, the people that you know that they need to hear a little bit more about Jesus and you're nervous, but you might be the one to start that conversation. Or there's that person and they come to church every once in a while and they might show up to your mission group but they seem very distant and disconnected. And that person might be the one that you need to go grab and reach your arms around and tell them, hey, let's talk. Let me be there for you. I'm convinced if God wanted us to make disciples the way He called us to do it, He has already put those people in your life, and He wants you to take that step. Don't miss the point. We're going to move on and do different. Next week we're going to be outside. We're going to move forward with a lot of different ideas and different series and conversations and all kinds of things. As we get moving so quick, I do not want to get to that place where we forgot exactly what we started with and the whole point of why we do what we do. But the text, as usually, I guess, happens for me, this is exactly what I needed to hear. Because I'm in the same boat as you are, right? I care about what Jesus wants for me in my life. And I do get overwhelmed and I get distracted. And so I opened this up for this week and man, it's perfect. And so I'm so excited to talk to you about this text. It's going to be up on the screen. I'm going to turn to Luke 10, 38 through, 38 through 42 in Luke 10. I'm going to read it here. It'll be on the screen. You can use your Bible as well. If you don't have a Bible, we've got some for you in the back, so we'd love for you to make sure you have the Word of God. It's pretty awesome if you ask me. And this story, again, maybe something you've heard before, but it has something very specific to teach us about the point, about discipleship, about relationships. So don't miss this. Let me walk through this slow verse by verse. Verse 38 of Luke 10. Here we go. As Jesus and his disciples were on their way, he came to a village where a woman named Martha opened her home to him. She had a sister called Mary, who sat at the Lord's feet, listening to what he said. But Martha was distracted by all the preparations that had to be made. She came to him and asked, Lord, don't you care that my sister has left me to do the work by myself? Tell her to help me. Martha, Martha, the Lord answered, you are worried and upset about many things, but only one thing is needed. Mary has chosen what is better, and it will not be taken away from her. The Mary and the Martha in our lives, sometimes all at the same time. There are parts of me that act a little bit too much like Martha, and sometimes the other way around. And we're going to look at how that kind of helps us as we move forward, because even in this text, there's a point to be made, and it has a lot to do with this, but maybe it's the most important part about our discipleship relationships. For Martha, and it's just easy to spend a lot of time talking about her, so I'm going to try and get through that and get to the big point here. But she reminds me of myself. Martha is very busy with what she feels is appropriate. Culturally appropriate, culturally being responsible to the fact that she is going to be, she's going to have a guest. She wants to be hospitable, wants to make sure she does everything that she can, that she knows to do to prepare for her guest. That's commendable, that's respectable, that's what she should be doing. And God bless her for it. And there are a lot of things in life that we should be doing, but sometimes we miss it. Sometimes we get overwhelmed by it. And so in my life, I had it up in my office for a long time, but the tyranny of the urgent things in life versus what's important, man, I wrestle with that all the time. And you know, you've maybe been in this position before. I see it happening all the time in my life, even right now this week. I think there are times, you know, like this morning. I know that Jamie does a great job kind of getting our 3 kids ready, and I'm out practicing, talking to the Lord about what I want to say this morning. And so the getting the family ready for church routine, right? Some of you guys know how that goes. Now, for us with 3 kids, and specifically her by herself, that's a lot of work, right? I've been in situations like that where we got to be somewhere, getting all the kids ready, right? Everyone make sure you have the van on time. We got to go. We're going to go to church. And you've seen it before. You know, everyone, hey, get dressed, be on time, and there's a massive blow-up argument in the car, and everyone's upset, and then, you know, turn that off, put on your game face, go in, smile in, and we're going to church, right? Been there, done that. And so for us, and you know what, we're in the process of figuring things out and getting a routine together with our cute little kids that make it tough sometimes to be on time, and that's kind of where we're at, being really honest with you. And so here's the thing, is that I know the plan, the goal, the point is that we as a family would come worship Jesus at church on Sunday. That's what we're trying to accomplish. Now, between, you know, Grayson peed in his pants because we're trying to get him to be ready for that, and then it messed up the car seat, and then the car seat was stained, so we had to use another car seat, and then this kid's doing this, and Jude's putting something in his mouth, and we have no idea where he got it from. And trying to get it all worked out together, it gets overwhelming. We get distracted by this and trying to make sure this kid's okay, and then looking at the watch and trying to get it all figured out, and then we're in the car, and then he's still screaming, and so forgot his bottle, and it's a mess. It's a lot of, oh my gosh, what's going on? And so I've been the one. You know, we're going somewhere, and I've got all the kids in the car, and I'm frustrated now. So it's yelling at everyone, be quiet, no more talking. Daddy needs to focus on the road, on what we're about to do. I want to be ready because we're going to church. Some of you might not agree with this, but I think for me, at the end of the day, my family is my first church. I would much rather get to church late, make sure my family's okay, than get to church on time and yell at my kids every time. I think sometimes in life, I want everything in my life to go the way I want it to, so I can stroll into church half an hour early, everybody's beautiful, dressed, and everything's fine. And then to accomplish that goal, I would sacrifice the relationship with my kids sometimes. And they see an upset and angry dad, and I don't ever want them to see that. At what cost? So that we're on time? Trust me, the pat on the back to arrive into church on time is not worth a frustrated conversation with your kids. Now, that doesn't mean I want you guys to be late. That doesn't mean I want to create a culture where we say it doesn't matter when you show up. But I do want you to be aware of the fact that sometimes the distractions can get us so overwhelmed that we miss the point. Your family is your first church. Worshiping Jesus is a goal and a priority that you get to have every day. Don't miss the point by getting so frustrated on all those little distractions that you can't see Him right in front of you. Because maybe the best worship you're going to have is in the car listening to whatever song you're listening to, singing about Jesus with your family before you even get there. And you know what? The same is true with my house. We just moved into our house and got a million projects. And I know that's apparently what it is to be a homeowner. You're going to have ideas and things you want to get done. You can't get all of them done, but you try. And, you know, I'll tell you what, if it was just me and Jamie, we would have so much more stuff done. But it's not. We've got 3 kids, and I do this. And again, I'm not happy about it. But I'm trying to accomplish this task, and I will get frustrated at my kids, and they're going to see it. And so what did I gain? If I've got a perfectly cleaned house, and my kids are frustrated at me, and I'm frustrated at them, what did I really achieve? And you know what, the same is true where we'll have company over, and I want to make sure, you know, everyone does this. You want to be a good host. You want to make sure everything is put together, and at what cost? And so I see Martha in me all the time, where there might be things that I want to do for the right reasons, and I want to have everything together and prepared and be the best host in life I can be. But sometimes I sacrifice the relationships that matter the most. And again, kind of backing up to the tyranny of the urgent, I think there's this idea that, man, you can spend your whole life just going from one urgent problem to the next, and you're always going to be frazzled and upset and never really take a second to breathe and realize what's the most important thing. And as a church, I don't want to make that mistake. And I don't know about you, but I think I've seen some churches where it might look like they're trying to follow around from one urgent problem to the next and dealing with whatever they can. But for you and for me, for Go Church, we just need to kind of take a breath and realize that the people in our lives, that is the most important thing. It doesn't matter how many people show up on a Sunday morning. It doesn't matter how well the projectors work and all the things that we expect as church to happen. Man, those relationships. So the conversations before and after service with you guys, that time that we get to talk and just share life, that is incredibly important. And I don't want to miss that. And I think that's what God has for us in discipleship. And you know, you think I'd learn. I remember, man, regretfully, that I was the youth pastor at CCW for many years and loved it. Enjoyed my time doing that. And I remember as church planting became a very real idea for me, that we were getting ready to do this. I remember sitting at Jimmy Redmile's house, some of the core leadership we sat together and talked about, man, what is a new church going to look like? What are some of the things that we used to do that we don't want to do anymore? And one of the first things I said is, I said, you know what? As a youth pastor, I got so overwhelmed by the activities and the programs and how many kids can we get to come to this and how many times can we do this and how many ways can we do this big thing. And I tried to run a program and for all the right reasons. I wanted to have an environment where people could come and get to know Jesus, and that was great. But I thought about it and I said, you know what? It seems like Jesus, he wasn't so overwhelmed with any kind of big program in any capacity. He was very intentional about his 12, about the people in his life. And so I said this. I said, man, when I'm a part of planning a church, I don't want to be so worried about the program. I just want to invest in people's lives. That's what I want it to be about. And I said that. And you know what? And then it hurts because at the same time I find myself making sure everything is working out for the program on Sundays here at church and that this is going to work and that's okay and all this is coming together. And often I sacrifice the time just to spend with you guys. Because I say the words that I never wanted to be defined by, but sometimes I am. I'm sorry, I'm just too busy right now. I don't have time for that. How backwards is that for me? There are relationships that God put in front of me, and yet I choose to do these things, to run these programs as if they're more important. And so I think sometimes for us, we get distracted by how well we're serving, what we're doing during the week, how often we're committed to God in the ways that we think we're supposed to. And He might have people in your life right now. And you might say, listen, I'm too busy. I've got this going on. I've got that. I don't have time for that. Don't miss the point. And forgive me if, as a church, we continue to move forward and get real busy, get real quick, and then we miss it. And in fact, I want to make sure you hear that because this next series is going to talk about how we, as a church, are committed to each other and how we serve the body, and we can move forward in that way. But don't miss that those relationships that you have, as you serve at church, as you go about your life, that you're invested in people because, man, I don't want to get to Him and be in front of the King and ask me what I did with my time. And I told him, man, we had a really cool service on Sundays. That's not it. And I don't want to miss the point. And so for you, man, as much fun as this is, make sure the people in your life, so whatever name you've got on that card, or in your mind, or written on your heart, don't miss that. That's huge. That's so important to me. In fact, I see the issue with the busyness and where Martha's coming from. I just had to read this quote to you. This is so cool. Kind of, again, when you see these things come up, man, people write about these different ideas all the time. So our culture also seems to bow down to the idols of busyness. In her book called Not So Fast, Slow Down, the Solution for Frenzied Families, Ann Collier writes, America, the land of the high-achieving, multitasking, speedaholics who in perpetual motion, never resting and never quite satisfied. American families are stuck in a vortex of activities and obligations. We pile on appointments and lessons and practices and games and performances and clubs. And then shovel in fast food and Western civilization, high-speed, fast-paced, goal-oriented life has propelled us into a state of minivan mania. She refers to another book, The Life You've Always Wanted by John Ortberg. And in it, has this conversation with a friend, and he describes the pace of life in Chicago and the rhythms of family life and the conditions of the heart. And he knows, and so a friend is asking him what to do in order to be spiritually healthy. After a long pause, his mentor answers, "You must ruthlessly eliminate hurry from your life." Orberg wasn't satisfied with the answer, and so he asked, "What more can I do?" And his mentor said, "There is nothing else." The man said, as he reflected on the advice later, Orberg had made this observation in regards to this advice, and he said, "Hurry is the greatest enemy of our spiritual life in our day. Hurry can destroy our souls. Hurry can keep us from living well. For most of us, the great danger is not that we renounce our faith, it is that we become so distracted and so rushed and preoccupied that we settle for a mediocre version of it. We will just skim our lives instead of actually living them." I don't want to be known as the Christian minister, the brother in Christ, anything that is too busy for other people. I don't think you want to be either. And so, can we just take a second and slow down? I know for you and for me, there are things in life that we think, you know what, this is what we're supposed to do in order to get ready for Jesus, and we have to prepare this and do this, and once we have it all together, then we're good for Jesus. I met a kid at the college on Thursday, and it broke my heart. He didn't realize anything wrong with what he said, but I follow Jesus, he says. I think he's great. I think he is worth everything, but you know what, I know I mess up all the time, so until I get that figured out, I'm not going to be a Christian. I'm not going to really be known by that because I don't have it figured out yet. And this was in passing, and I just wanted to grab this young man. Let him know, man, you're never going to get it all figured out first. It's never going to come together in such a way where you can, okay, I'm perfect, now I need Jesus. Because it doesn't work like that. And so for you and for me, man, I get so wrapped up with, God, I want to do a good job as a church planter. I want to do all these things for you, and I want to do this and do that. And then sometimes I just miss what he's got right in front of me. And so specifically for me, there's that hurry. There's that, well, if I can get 100 things done this week, then that means I did a good job, right, God? If I get all the things I wanted to get done, then that means I'm successful in your eyes, right? God doesn't want our success. He wants us. You have been learning to redefine what success means when you're closer to Jesus. And so sometimes for you and for me, it does mean that you show up a little bit later. It does mean that you miss this and you fail at that. Because I think one of the things, and this is so cool, we're about to get to it with Mary, is that it doesn't always go the way that you want it to or the way it's supposed to. In fact, let me just explain what I mean. Jump to Mary a little bit. She, in the story, she's sitting at Jesus' feet, right? She's taking in what he's got to give. She's enjoying the lesson, enjoying that time spent. Culturally, she was not supposed to be doing that. She had an obligation to take care of her sister. There was a role that she was supposed to play. She chose otherwise. Man, again, I feel almost uncomfortable saying this, but I think there are times in life where the right thing to do, what you're supposed to do, will take you away from him. Because, man, if the devil can't make you bad, he'll make you busy. Right? You heard that? And I think sometimes we want to do all the right things. You guys are committed to a church plant, right? You're living your life out for Christ. You're trying to understand what discipleship is and how you can take part in it. You have your heart, I can tell. You have your mind in the right place. I want to do this. But, man, don't get so overwhelmed by all the things that you miss the most important thing. Now, that's my favorite part of the sermon. Because the whole time, we've been talking to you about your discipling relationships and those people in your life. And that is huge. But that is not the most important relationship in your life, is it? And let me speak to that point because I'm living there right now. I love spending my time with you. I think it's so important that I'm involved in people's lives. That's important to me. But I've noticed I've been more stressed out. My patience as well. I was talking to Jamie about this. I don't know what it is, but in this little chapter of life I'm in, I have much less patience for my kids, and I'm not okay with it. I'm uncomfortable with it. And I know exactly what it is. As much time as I spend with people, and I'm focusing on the point. I've got some people sitting here right now that I would consider them people I'm discipling, and they know who they are, and that's important to me. But those people, those come secondary to the relationship. I've not been just kind of privately studying the Word of God enough, though. I spend my time working on my sermon, and which is so wonderful for me. I love, this morning I was out in the parking lot talking to God. Other people walked by and thought I was crazy, and I love that. But that time for me with him, my favorite part of the week, hands down my favorite part of the week. And in fact, don't take this the wrong way, but as much as I love being here talking to you, that time in the parking lot with him is by far my favorite. Because that time to just be still with God. That relationship with him. If I don't have that relationship right first, none of it's going to work. Yes, I want you to disciple other people. Do not miss the point. But if you don't love God first, if you've not made that commitment to be close to him primarily, then you will miss all of it. Every other decision, every other step we make as a church, that you make as a person, if you've not first understood that relationship, then it's going to be tough the whole way through. And so Mary, she made a decision. And I love what Jesus said to her, because she chose what was better. Now, I'm not going to say Martha was wrong. She was doing the right thing, but she wasn't doing the best thing. Jesus kind of trumps what we think our life should be about. Even if you're doing the right thing that you think God might be proud of you for, man, a relationship with him, by far, is far superior. Way more important. You've heard this before, and you'll hear it again, but it is about a relationship, not a religion. It is about a relationship with Jesus. If you want to make disciples, it is not about a religion. If you get them to walk through a religious program that you think that will equal discipleship, you could miss the point. It is a relationship. So you have to have a relationship with Jesus first before you do anything. And once you've got that relationship, then you can pour that into people. Because I feel like the way this works, and again, I'm seeing it in my own life, every time I'm going through like a rough patch, if I'm stressed, if I've got too much going on, it's because I'm not connected enough to him. I can point to it every single time. If I'm a little bit more irritable, then I need to spend more time with Jesus, period. You know what's awesome? It isn't spending time with you guys. It isn't spending time with my family. As much as I love them, as much as I love you guys, he is the one that does it. Because he is the most important relationship. He is more important to me than my family. He is more important to me than this church. Because he's the one that fulfills me. He's the one that gives me the strength. So if I don't invest my time with him, if I don't get filled up by him, then I cannot breathe out into life, into ministry with you. And it really is that practice. In fact, this morning you would have laughed if you were here a little bit early, because I walked in here attempting to blow this up on myself. I'm going to pass that on the stage. I got some help, and that was good. But, you know, I think sometimes in life we're just trying to pour out into other people, breathe out into other people, so much so that we got nothing left, and pass that on the stage. Sometimes, man, you got to take a second to just breathe in the love of God. And so again, as we move forward, and we've got a lot of different things we're going to do, and we want you to be focused on discipleship, but don't dare think about that person and how they need to know Jesus before you know him as well, before you've gotten connected. So that means, man, what does your time alone with God look like? Psalms 46:10, be still and know that I'm God. In fact, right now, can we just take a second in your life and just be still? He has so much to say. All those things that worry you, that stress you out. In fact, you think that if you get them figured out, then God will be happy with you, or that when you get them figured out, that you'll be more at peace. My kids are always going to be getting ready in the morning, and I can choose what's going to be more important. The house is always going to have more projects, but I will pick them before I pick the projects. You're going to have many things in your life that you want to get done. In fact, right now, and you get upset because you don't get all the stuff done that you know you want to do. Man, pick that relationship first. Fill yourself up with him. So find some time to do a Bible study. Now I'm talking about, you know, I love the Bible app. Bible reading plans, some stuff that you need to do. In your mission group, we have ways for you to make sure you're committed to reading the Bible together as a group. Man, it is so important that you find a way that you are connected with God. Again, for me, it's being alone out in the parking lot or taking a walk, but I found my time with God, and that's my favorite time. And I need that, because if I don't fill up with him first, then I am no earthly good to anybody else. And so for you, as much as I want you to consider discipleship, as much as I want you to consider all the different things that we're going to continue to ask you as a church. And here's the thing, man, I'm proud of where you guys are at. We as a group are serving, are committed well to this, and this is incredible. But if we're going to go anywhere, if we're going to do what God called us to do, we cannot do it without a relationship with him. And so Mary maybe did some things that she shouldn't have. So maybe she was supposed to be with her sister, and Martha got upset about it. And as she went to Jesus, hey, why aren't you going to change this? Why won't you fix this? No. Martha, Martha, you don't understand. The things you equal as success, as the right thing to do, you missed it. She knows what is best. And so for you, man, you might need to stop what you're doing and just sit at the feet of Jesus. And let him fill you up. Let him teach you the ways of the King. Because that's how you go make disciples. Go make disciples of all nations, teaching them to obey everything I've commanded of you. If he hasn't commanded you of anything, then you're not going to have anything to share anyway. If you're going to make disciples, and here's what we've learned, and I love this. It isn't just kind of giving out information and hoping they get it. You have to have lived it and internalized it first, and then you can share it and give it out. And I think he knew that. If discipleship was as easy as reading a piece of paper, then I don't know that that's what God would have for us. He wants discipleship to be where people see people following Jesus. And then when that happens, it works. Because I'm going to guess you've learned the most about how to be a Christian through another person in your life. You've watched what it meant to be a prayer warrior. You see what it meant to be sacrificing your time and of all the different talents that we have. Now you've learned what it means to follow God because of the way people do it in front of you. Be that kind of person. If you're going to teach people how to follow God, then you've got to live that out. Because a bunch of words on a piece of paper is not going to do the trick. You know how I know that? Ask the Old Testament how that worked out for them. Right? Like, God knew, hey, a person in front of them. As much as I wish I could give them guidelines and tools and all these different things so that they would know how to live life, then I have to give them a living example of the truth. And so my son will come forth, and they will see how to live the life that they're supposed to. You are little Christians. You are little Christ. That's what you do. So go live an example that they can see. So this person that you're writing down, it's not, hey, let me give you some information. You need to live the life of Jesus in front of them. Let them see what that looks like. And the only way you can live the life of Jesus in front of other people is if Jesus is living inside of you first. So get that figured out. If you feel like you need help with that, if you feel like you haven't committed to Christ and you don't know what that looks like in your life, if you feel like you're missing something, if you haven't been baptized and don't know why that's even important, if you feel like he's really, really far away and you don't know why, if you're hurting and you want more Jesus and you don't know how to get it, this is what the church is for. We want to help you figure that out. Because again, if we're going to make disciples, we cannot do it if you don't know him first. So if you want to get to know him better, that's why we do this. We want you to see him, we want you to find him. Because when you do, then the sky's the limit. And that's why we're here. That's why we do what we do. Because we found the King that gave us the plan to set us free. It was life that lasts forever and hope that goes beyond anything we can imagine. I'm so grateful for what he's continuing to do in my life. And if I ever want to be better, I have to be humble and be closer to him. I cannot make it by myself. I want to do discipleship. I want to do all the things that he called me to do in Scripture. But I will fall limp on the stage because I can't breathe anymore if I don't breathe in him first. Fill your lungs with the love of Christ, church. Know that he made you and set you free and gave you plans. And don't miss that. And then once you have that, watch out, because that is a force to be reckoned with. So let's pray that the team's going to come back up and sing one more song. I want you to enjoy that. Lift up your voices to him. Don't miss the point. Find the people in your life. Again, with those cards, if you want to, me and Josh would love to be able to pray for you and those people in your life. So you can hand us the card and we'd love to pray for those people. But if not, that's okay too. So think about some people in your life that you can invest in. It's almost like, I think I heard in Scripture that if you love God and love people, you're probably doing the right thing. And so maybe let's take